Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be digging into something that's honestly kind of blowing my mind. AI that can understand and use Markdown.
And, at first glance, it might not seem like, the most glamorous thing in the world.
Right, like robots formatting documents. Whoop-de-doo!
Exactly. But it's actually a really big deal. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how we interact with technology.
Okay, so before we go any further, I think it might be helpful to take a step back. For anyone who's not familiar with Markdown, can you give us a quick explainer?
Sure. So Markdown is basically a way to format text, like you would in a word processor. But it uses simple code instead of menus and buttons.
Yeah, so instead of like highlighting text and then hunting for the bold button, you just put a couple of asterisks around it, right? Like this.
Exactly. It's all about making the writing process smoother and less about fiddling with the formatting.
Right, so less time messing around with the tools and more time actually focusing on the words themselves. So how does AI fit into all of this?
Well, the Include Markdown Prompt we'll be exploring today. It comes from the Generative AI Professional Prompt Engineering Guide, by the way, which is a fantastic resource. Essentially shows us how to teach AI to understand and apply Markdown commands.
Okay, so we're talking about crafting very specific instructions for the AI, almost like a recipe. And in this case, the recipe includes Markdown.
Exactly. It's like saying, hey, AI, every time you see this particular combination of symbols, it means do this to the text.
That's so cool. So instead of getting bogged down in the formatting weeds, we can just tell the AI what we want, and it handles the nitty-gritty details. The guide even mentions a prompt to generate a table of all the Markdown commands the AI knows. That seems super useful.
Absolutely. And what's really exciting is that the applications go way beyond just making our documents look nice.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, think about someone giving a presentation, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of fiddling with slides and fonts, they could literally say, AI, make the title bold, use bullet points for my main takeaways, and highlight this key statistic in a larger font.
Whoa, okay. No, that's what I'm talking about. That's next level efficiency. And the guide dives into how this applies to different fields, right?
Yeah, and one of the examples that really stuck out to me was about using this Include Markdown Prompt to create internal documentation for companies.
Mm-hmm.
Like all those onboarding manuals and technical specs that are often clunky and impossible to navigate.
Oh, tell me about it. I feel like I'm constantly drowning in poorly formatted documents.
Right. But with this technology, companies could feed the AI wrong information and get perfectly formatted, easy-to-read documents in return.
Okay, that is huge, especially in today's world where information overload is a real thing. It's not just about making things look nice, though, right? It's about clarity and efficiency, which can lead to better communication overall.
Precisely. And better communication leads to better collaboration, fewer misunderstandings, and ultimately a more productive and innovative environment. It's amazing how something as seemingly simple as formatting can have such a ripple effect.
It really is. And speaking of ripple effects, from what I was reading, it seems like this technology has the potential to impact just about every industry out there, from education to content creation.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to dive into some of those specific use cases in just a bit.
Awesome. So for everyone listening, make sure you stick around because things are about to get even more interesting. It really makes you realize how important clear communication is. And it's something we often take for granted.
Yeah, totally.
And what's really interesting is that the guide suggests this is just the beginning. Apparently, AI can even be used to help us learn and master these new skills ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of AI tools are starting to incorporate explanations into their processes now.
Yeah.
It's not just about the AI doing the formatting for you, but actually showing you how it's done, like having a personal Markdown tutor right there in your computer.
Wow. Okay, that is seriously impressive. It's like AI is learning alongside us, constantly evolving and coming up with new ways to be helpful.
Right.
Speaking of helpful, the guide gets into some other really fascinating use cases for this, include Markdown Prompt.
Yeah.
And one that really jumped out at me was its potential in education.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Just imagine.
Yeah.
A teacher could be like, okay, AI, I need a lesson plan on the Roman Empire with, a timeline, bullet points about all the key figures, and a quiz at the end. And boom, the AI just creates it all perfectly formatted.
Yeah. That's incredible. It's like having an assistant who not only understands the material, but also knows the best way to present it.
And it can even pull in images and resources from the web. So you're not just getting a dry document, you're getting a fully immersive learning experience.
Wow. That's next level. And it's not just about making things look nice, right? It's about making information more accessible and engaging for students, which can have a huge impact on how they learn.
Right, exactly. And it frees up educators to focus on what they do best, actually teaching and mentoring students.
Yeah.
Instead of spending hours formatting documents, they can spend more time coming up with creative lesson plans and giving personalized feedback.
That's huge. It's like this technology has the potential to revolutionize so many different fields. We've talked about business, we've talked about education. What about something like content creation? I mean, we're both content creators in a way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The guide actually talks about that quite a bit.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Imagine being able to just dictate a blog post or an article, and the AI not only transcribes it, but also formats it perfectly using Markdown.
Okay, wait. So no more wrestling with formatting tools or spending hours tweaking layouts.
Exactly. Headlines, subheadings, bullet points, all done for you.
That would be a game changer. It would free up so much time and energy to actually focus on the writing itself.
Right. And it could be really huge for people who maybe struggle with traditional formatting tools. Like, imagine someone with dyslexia or visual impairments being able to create really professional-looking content without any barriers. It's really incredible.
That's a really powerful thought. It really democratizes content creation, makes it accessible to anyone with an idea to share.
Exactly.
It does make me wonder, though, are there any downsides to all of this? Any challenges we should be aware of?
That's a great question. And it's something we definitely need to talk about.
Yeah.
Because while the potential benefits of AI-powered Markdown are huge, it's super important that we use this technology responsibly.
Yeah, it's like with any new technology, right? There's always a flip side. What are some of the things we need to be cautious about?
Well, one of the big ones is bias. AI models, they're trained on massive amounts of data. And if that data reflects, the biases that already exist in our world, then the AI's output could end up perpetuating those biases.
That makes sense.
Like, for example, if an AI is trained primarily on, say, academic articles,
Okay.
it might not be so great at formatting, like a creative writing piece or something more informal.
So it's not just about the AI understanding Markdown. It's about making sure it's been exposed to enough different styles and voices to be truly versatile.
Exactly.
Hmm.
We can't just blindly trust the AI,
Yeah.
We have to be aware of its limitations.
Right.
And use it as a tool to enhance our own judgment and creativity, not replace it.
Okay, that's a really good point. So for our listeners who are tuning in, maybe feeling a little overwhelmed with all this information, some of you excited, some of you maybe a little unsure, what's the one big takeaway you hope they walk away with?
Honestly, I think the most important thing is to approach this technology with a sense of curiosity, but also a healthy dose of, skepticism.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to experiment, but don't just assume the AI knows best.
It's about finding that balance, right? Embracing the possibilities while still being aware of the potential downsides.
Exactly. And remember, this technology is still evolving. It's early days.
Yeah.
The more we use it, the more we'll learn, and the better it will become.
It's a pretty amazing time to be, exploring all of this. So we've gone deep on the Include Markdown prompt, talked about how it could totally change the way we create and consume information.
For sure.
But we've also touched on the importance of using it responsibly.
Absolutely.
I think that's key with any new technology.
It is, yeah.
For anyone who wants to learn more, we'll be sure to link to the Generative AI Professional Prompt Engineering Guide in our show notes.
It's a great resource, definitely worth checking out.
For sure. And remember, the next time you're struggling to format a document or just, looking for a new way to express yourself, don't underestimate the power of a simple prompt. Include Markdown.
Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most elegant.
That's the truth. And on that note, it's time to wrap up this deep dive. A huge thank you to all of you for joining us on this journey into the world of AI and Markdown. We'll see you next time. Keep those creative sparks flying.